All right, so a pleasant good night, everyone. We have 32 persons in attendance, so that is good. Seen an improvement in terms of persons coming back online, so that's good. All right, lovely. Now, tonight we are going to be doing a topic that all these years that I'm teaching, I've never really seen anybody do videos on these. So I feel like this class is going to be a class that is going to be beneficial to not just you know, or even the recording, but it's going to be beneficial to a lot of people out there because many persons are not big fan of the topic that we're going to be teaching. It's the worded section, right? The consumer arithmetic, right? The discount, the sales tax, the depreciation, the simple interest, the higher purchase. That is the topic we're going to attack tonight. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing between now and between tonight and next week, Wednesday. We're hoping to complete at least 15 questions out of the 30 that I have, and then leave you with the other 15 to do. I remember, so we're not spending a long time. I'm just giving you a gist or an idea of how to approach these types of questions, okay? Remember, we agreed that we're going to be doing some compressed teaching. So as soon as a question comes up, then I will present to you the formulas that needs to be applied, all right? And if I need to teach something, then I will. All right, so tonight's topic is going to be consumer arithmetic. Why are my students late? I'm going to switch screens now, so. All right, here we go. Everybody see my screen and my audio is clear. So here we go. All right, oops. All right, somebody can volunteer to read the top part of the document. As you can see, I have 3. You see those pages? All of those pages are pretty much, let me zoom them up for you. So it's Manchester Institute of Learning Consumer Arithmetic Worksheet Practice Workbook. I designed these questions specifically so that I can cover more than one topics at the same time. All right. So anybody can volunteer to read the objective of this topic. Go ahead. Anyone?
The objective of this workbook is to provide students with a comprehensive grasp of all possible types of worded problems related to consumer arithmetic exam questions. By completing this workbook, students should be able to apply specific formula for each problem, identify keywords that guide problem solving, manipulate formulas to find different variables, improve comprehension and critical thinking, understand real-world principles of consumerism.
You can go ahead. Instructions.
Instructions: attempt all questions in the order presented. Use a formula. Oh, I can see that sheet at the back of the workbook to support your calculations. Show all workings clearly.
Thank you so very much. All right, so I'm going to scroll down here and you will see the formula sheet down at the bottom here. So you see, what I've done is that I've provided you with a formula sheet. Let me see. I think I need to upload the picture. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Let me just check if I can find the picture. Give me a sec. 1, 2, 3. I might have left it out. I think I might have left it out. 1, 2, 3. Right, I think I left off one of the pages, so I'm going to find it and. Right, so I'm going to upload this document that you're seeing here. I am going to upload it so that in the interim after this session, you guys can actually try some of them on your own, you know? And then when we start to work them again in the next class, you can match your solutions with mine. Okay, so here we go. I've shuffled the questions so they're in random order. They're mixed up, so we have different types of questions that will be coming at you. All right. All right. So the first question, I want my students to be active. So anybody can go ahead and read question 1.
A t-shirt has a marked price of $1,780 during the sale. A discount of 11% was offered. Calculate the price a customer would pay for the shirt.
All right, so this is that typical, this is a normal question, a normal everyday scenario that you guys will encounter, right? I'm assuming that everyone in here is familiar with the word discount. It's something that every Jamaican loves, right? Once them hear the price for something, regardless if it's cheap or it's expensive, they feel the need that they need to get a discount. And obviously we can go ahead and we can write here that let's just jot in some notes here as we go along. We're going to pull up a little notepad here and jot in some notes.
There's somebody in the waiting room.
Yes, go ahead. We're going to go ahead and jot in some notes. Anything that comes up, any question that pops up, we're going to jot our notes in this notepad right here, okay? All right, so here we go. All right, so firstly, what is discount? What is discount? Well, a formal definition of discount is this is a reduction in the original price, original marked price of a item. Okay? So discount, this is a reduction in the original price of the original marked price of an item. All right? So you're going to reduce the cost. You're going to be reducing the cost to you. Okay? So we have a little formula, right, that we use. We say discount. It's so heavy. So we have a little formula here, and that's going to be discount. Give me a second, guys. Let me just try to zoom out a little bit here. A little bit too bending. I think that should work. All right, so we have a little formula that we're going to work with here, and that formula is going to be discount is equal to X% over 100 multiplied by the cost. Right? That is how you find the discount. This is how you calculate the amount of money that will be deducted from the cost of the item. So in this case, then, the X%, let me just write percent here so you understand that it's a percentage. The discount is equal to X% over 100 multiplied by the cost of the item. All right? So therefore, then, what we're looking at then is the X% is the 11. So that's going to be 11 divided by 100 multiplied by the cost of the shirt was 1,780. That's 1,780. Now you can then grab your calculator, as we have always been doing here. Grab our calculators. And then we're going to go on here. And we're going to clear our screen. And then we're going to say 11 divided by 100. And then we're going to go ahead and multiply that by 1,780. And that tells us that it's 195.8. Now, since it's money that we're dealing with, we're going to need to add a 0 onto that 8. So then you're going to realize then that the answer then works out to be, let me just refresh my page a sec. So then you're going to realize that this works out nicely to be equal to 195 195.80. Once it's money, you need 2 decimal places. All right, so it's 19580. Now, this represents the amount that will be deducted from the original cost of the item. So then, in order for us to know how much the customer should pay for the item, that's going to be the original cost, which is 1780 minus 195.80. And that should work out nicely to be 1780 minus 195.80. I will end up with 1584.2. That's 1584.20. So $1584.20. All right? That would be the cost of the shirt to the customer. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Everybody Gucci?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everybody Gucci. All right. Can I have another person volunteer for number 2 to read number 2?
You'll have to zoom it up a bit.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead. More?
A Mazda RX-7 car valued at $27,000 was depreciated at a rate of 4% per annum. Calculate the expected value of the car after 3 years.
Okay, lovely. We're going to look at some terms here, right? We need to look at the word depreciate. On the missions, we mentioned some keywords: annum, depreciate, and expected value. All right. Now, let's grab our notepad here. So on our notepad, we're going to write down now what is depreciation. So what is it and what depreciates? What is depreciation? Now, depreciation, ladies and gentlemen, is when an asset goes down in value. The value that it once had, after a certain time period, it doesn't have that value anymore. If anybody in here has ever done any form of accounting or you've been exposed to accounting, you will learn stuff like machinery. Machinery, assets depreciate. For example, your car depreciates in value. Money depreciates in value. For example, Jamaica is undergoing a devaluing of our money. A lot of persons think that, oh, the more money that you get for $1, that's good. That's not good. That's bad. Very, very bad. Our money is being devalued. It's being depreciated. It takes too much of our money to make $1. All right? So money depreciates in value as time goes by, right? Our money is being devalued. Land, for example, land doesn't depreciate. Well, it depends on the position. It depends on where the land is, right? Some land, when you just get it, let's say it's worth 5 million. In 10 years, it's not going to worth 5 million. It's going to worth more because there's going to be more built up infrastructure in that area. And once the area where your land is located, if it becomes more commercial and it's no longer suburban, then the value of the land is going to go up. The price of a land will be determined by how commercial the area is. Because if they have a lot of customers, potential to be transiting through that area, then there's more revenue. That means the land is going to be more expensive. Stuff like machinery, cars, they devalue. For example, I'm sure if anybody in here drives a car or has ever driven a car before, you will know that when you just buy a car, let's say you buy the car for, say, 2 million, right? And you've been driving it for like a couple of years, right? And then you say, you know what? I think I need to upgrade. The 2 million you paid for the car, you can't sell it back for that. Even if you were to put on accessories on the vehicle and do all of that extra stuff on it and want to sell it back, then maybe, just maybe, somebody will buy it for that. But in actuality, as the years go by, if the car is a 2018 car and you're going to sell it back in 2025, the value that it had in 2018 no longer values that. It's going to go down in value because of wear and tear, because of the fact that more cars are being invented, different model cars are coming up. So it's not going to worth that amount, even though it's the same brand, but it's a different year. So basically then what are we saying? What is depreciation? This is when an asset undergoes a reduction in its original value. Now, depreciation takes place yearly, right? So that is what that word annum means. That's the Latin word for per year. So per annum means per year. So every year, the value of the car that you have is going to depreciate.
Excuse me, sir. You have a "the" is instead of "this is."
Oh, this is, thank you. This is when, thank you so much. This is when an asset undergoes a reduction in its original value per year. All right, so again, we have a nice little formula for this. We're going to write that down here. The only sad news that I have for you is that these formulas that you're being exposed to are not provided to you by CSEC, right? So some of them, with time, you're going to learn them. So the formula is A is equal to P, open bracket, 1 minus R over 100 raised to the power of T. Now, it looks like a very complicated formula, but the fun fact that this is just a PEMDAS question. This is where you apply PEMDAS to this problem. But anyways, let's give you the meaning of these letters, all right? So for the letter A represents what is called the future value. The future value. So the A represents the future value, which is the value of the vehicle after some years have passed. P stands for the present value. P stands for the present value. So that is the value of the car as we are talking about it now in the present year. So that's what that letter P represents, the present value. And A stands for future value. What will be the value of the car after a certain time period has passed? R is going to represent the rate at which depreciation took place. So is it depreciating by 4%, 5%, 10%, 11%, 1%? R is going to represent the rate of depreciation. So it's going to represent the rate of depreciation. And then T is going to represent the amount of years that the car undergoes depreciation. So T will represent the amount of years that the car or the vehicle, the asset, I don't want to say just car, but it could be anything. So the year, the number of years. So I should say the number NO full stop of years. So once you know what each letter in the formula represents, it's just a matter of substitution at this point. All right? So if you look carefully then, let's identify some stuff. So here we're looking at, it says something about expected value. Expected value would be the future value. So let's look and highlight some stuff now. So here it says a Mazda RX-7. So the Mazda is the asset. The car, the car name Mazda RX-7. And it's currently valued at 27,000. So that would be your P value. All right. And then we know that the rate of depreciation is 4%. So that's your R value. And then we are looking for the expected value, which is the future value after T years, after 3 years. So the expected value is the A value that we're looking for. All right, so let's plug it in as we have it here. So we're looking for A. A is equal to the present value of the car is 27,000. Open the bracket. 1 minus R is 4 because it's depreciating at a rate of 4%. And we want to know what is the value of the car at a rate of 4% depreciation after 3 years. So that's to the power of 3. Now, it looks like a very complicated math problem, but as I stated earlier, that this is just a PEMDAS problem. As you can see, we have something inside the bracket to work out. Then we have an exponent. Then we have multiplication. So it's just really 3 operations. All right? So we're going to go ahead and work out what is in the bracket first. What is in the bracket is 1 minus 4 over 100. So if we grab our calculator here, clear the screen, 1 minus 4 divided by 100. Once you type that in, it gives you 0.96. So that's going to then be A is equal to 27,000 open bracket 0.96 to the power of 3. All right? So how do we raise a number to a power? We might have discussed it or we might have mentioned it at some point during one of our discussions. So we're going to look at that button again. So now after we've done what is in the bracket, which is the parentheses, then we're going to do the exponent. Remember PEMDAS says what? P-E-M-D-A-S. So we have taken care of the parentheses. What comes next is the exponent. So the exponent is 0.96 to the power of 3. We could say 0.96 times 0.96 times 0.96. But that's a bit tedious. Because what if it was 5 years? What if it was 10 years? What if it was 15 years? Do you want to have 0.96 15 times on the calculator? That would be a bit tedious. So we have a button that allows us to do that. So we're going to press 0.96. And this button right here, do you see it highlighted? X to the Y. If you're using a calculator, you should see that X to the Y. If you don't see that X to the Y, then you should see that, okay, so it's highlighted, X to the Y. Verify on your calculator if you see that button. It might be Y to the X as well for some calculators. Or
See X3.
No, that's this one right here. We don't want that one. We want X to the Y.
X to the Y. Okay.
If you don't see X to the Y, then you might see this button. Give me a second. You should see this button here. Let me just refresh it. Give me a sec. There is a particular button that helps you to raise a number to any amount of power. I'm loading my screen. Give me a sec. So if you don't see the X to the Y, you might see a button that looks like this with an arrow. You see that button? It's like a little button here, a little arrow pointing like that. Or you might see a button with 2 empty boxes like that. So one of those buttons will help you to raise the number to the power of 3. All right, so here. So 0.96, I've already pressed my button. Notice that it's highlighted there, and I'm going to press 3. So see, so I'll get the 3 to go above the 0.96. Then I'm going to press equal. I'm going to end up with 0.8847. Now, how many decimal places do we write? For me, I think that 3 decimal places is fine. 4 is fine as well. Don't do any round off. Just write what you see here. So I'm going to write 0.8847. That's what I'm going to write.
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
On my calculator, when I press the X3, I'm getting the same answer. But when I put in 0.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so X3 can work.
Yeah, I got the same answer.
Yeah, X3 can work. I'm so sorry. Yes, X3 can work.
Yes,
What
okay,
if it was a 5? What if it was a 5? So you still have to go learn that button there.
Could it were used X3 then if a 5, sir? And if you use what the Y?
Yeah, you have to use the X to the Y button. So 27,000. Bracket means to multiply. And that's 0.8847. All right. And then we go ahead now and multiply those 2 numbers. So that's times 27,000. And then I end up with 23,887.87. So 23,887.87. So the answer is 23,887.87. And it makes sense because after 3 years, the value of the car is expected to go down. There you have it.
I get 886.9.
886.9. Yeah, man, that's still fine. Yeah, man, it's a relative answer. So depending on if you use the 0.8847 or did you use the extra decimal places or did you round it off to 2, you're going to get an answer that is relatively close. Right? So that's why when we're doing questions like these, we don't expect an exact answer. We expect an answer within a range. Okay? All right, and that's it. So that is the topic of depreciation. Everybody Gucci? Everybody Gucci? Everybody Gucci?
Yes, sir, so far.
All right, good. We're going to move on to another question, question number 3. I'm just working them in order. All right. Question number 3. All right, can I have somebody else volunteer? We can go ahead, guys. Anybody else can volunteer to read question number 3? Anyone.
A dining room table was bought by a customer for $14,320, inclusive of 12% sale tax. Calculate the sale tax charge and the price exclusive of the sale tax.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right. Now, it's a tricky question. It's a
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Someone in the chat said they got kicked.
Okay,
They're
thank
in the
you.
waiting room.
All right. So it's a tricky question, right? And for many reasons, I'm going to show you why this is a tricky question. I first want to highlight the mistake that is most common amongst students of your skill level, right? So I want to highlight where the error always tends to occur. Now, once any student in here, before or even in the future, gets a question of this nature, the tendency, once they see percentage, they tend to go ahead and say 12 over 100 and they times it by the amount that's here, which is 14,320. And then they're going to get some value, whatever that value is, right? And then at this stage, they're going to try to read the question again and try to figure out, do I subtract or do I add? So once they see the word tax, you're automatically going to say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to maybe them add it or maybe them subtract it, right? Depending on, depending on what they've interpreted. Now, this is a very tricky question because you can't work it like this, right? And why you can't do that is for this very reason. There's a particular word that is in this question that makes it challenging. This word here, inclusive. Now, let's read it again. It says a dining room table was bought by a customer for $14,320. And inside that $14,320, the tax was already included. So the customer buy the dining room table, right? And when they paid the $14,320, they were charged the tax in that money. So by reading that sentence, many students will be like, all right, sir, this is very easy. I could just find 12% over 100 and times it by 14,320. And then they will go ahead and say 14,320 minus whatever they worked out. And it will almost feel like it's right? But what you're going to find out when you do your proof is that you're going to be short by a couple dollars. You're going to be short by a couple dollars because this 14,000 already contains the 12%. So you cannot find 12% of something that already contains the 12%. All right? Now, for you to have an intuitive understanding of this question, is to first understand what does original price mean. Now, when you hear the word original price, you have to think about the fact that the original price of anything, the original price of anything that you're buying, it doesn't matter the value of the item. If I want sweetie, if it's a shirt, if it's a furniture, if it's a phone, if it's a computer, if it's a bed, even if it's a person, whatever you're purchasing, the original price of anything is always 100%. That's very important for you to understand. Now, the next thing you also need to understand is what happens when you buy something at a discounted price and what happens when you buy something that is inclusive of tax. Now, if the original price of anything, ladies and gentlemen, is 100%, if I buy something that is already discounted, let us say that the discount is equal to 10%. If the item is already discounted when I'm giving the clerk my money, I am not buying the item at 100% anymore because the item has already been discounted. I'm therefore now purchasing the item at a value of 90%. So when I give the clerk my money for the item that has already been discounted, I'm paying for the item at a 90% value. Now, if I am buying an item, right, that is inclusive of tax, remember that the original price of anything is 100%. But if I'm buying the item at a price that has already been taxed, then I'm no longer buying the item for 100%. Let's say that the tax is equal to 9%. Then I'm no longer buying the item at 100%. I'm not buying the item at its original value. Them tax me already. So therefore, I'll be buying the item at 109%. So it's very important you understand the concept of inclusive and exclusive. When something is inclusive of tax, you have to add the tax to 100%. And if the item has already been discounted, it means that them take off the value. They take off something off the original value. That means whatever the discounted value is, you have to subtract it from 100%. So it's very important you understand this concept, because when you get questions like these, it's very, very easy for you to say 12 over 100 times it by 14,320 and subtract it from 14,320 and you're gone. And then quick, just like that, you get the question incorrect. So we're going to grab our notepad here, right? We're going to grab our notepad and we're going to make a little note in here. So when an item is inclusive of tax, then the present value of the item equals 100 plus the percentage. Let's put this in a bracket here. So when an item, I'm typing so fast. So when an item is inclusive of tax, then the present value of the item is actually 100 plus whatever the percent is. All right. Similarly, when an item is inclusive of discount, then the present value of the item is the present value of the item equals 100 minus the whatever percent of discount it is. If it's inclusive of discount, ladies and gentlemen, that means them already take the discount out of it.
Sir, sorry. Could you just when and is? You have to read over about that section.
Oh, I'm typing so fast. When an item. Oh, I'm typing so fast. Thank you so much. When an item is inclusive of discount, then the present value of the item is 100 minus the percent. So please look out for words like these. I'm so sorry. I have to go back in here. Please look out for words like these. Inclusive and exclusive. When it's exclusive, that's easy because you're buying the item at its original value. But when it's inclusive, please look out for these. All right? So let's attack the question. Remember, each question is going to bring up a new formula or a new concept. So how we're going to set this question up then? We have to set it up because here's what we have. What we know for certain is that the customer already bought the item for 14,320 and it is inclusive of the 12%. So therefore, the customer didn't buy the item, at 100%, The customer bought the item at 112%. So this number that you're seeing here, this 14,320, it's equal to the 112%. Because it includes, notice here, the 14,320 is inclusive of the 12. So that's why I added the 12 to the 100%. So if you want me to break it down a little bit better for you here, I can just simply say 100 plus 12% is equal to 14,320. And then small it up now, we're going to get 112% equal 14,320. All right? Now, remember now, what we're looking for is the what? The sales tax charge. But we want the price that is exclusive of the tax. So we want the price before it was taxed. So to do this, we have to do what we did in ratio or in direct proportion. We have to find out what is 1%. If we can calculate what is 1%, then we can calculate what is 100%. So 1% is going to be equal to 14,320 divided by 112. If we're going to calculate a 14,320 divided by 112, we'll get a value of 127.85. Round it off, 127.86. So that's going to be equal to $127.86. So that's 1%. Therefore, if I want to find the price that is exclusive, when the price is exclusive, what I'm looking for is the original value. What was the price that was charged before them tax me? That I'm looking for is 100%. So therefore, I can see that 100% is equal to 100 times 127.86. And that's going to be equal to $12,786. That was the price of the dining room table before it was taxed. And that's how you do the calculation. All right. Now, if you want to prove the answer, which you don't really have to, but I'm going to prove it for you, right? Because we do have a good amount of time left. We don't have to rush it, right? If you want to prove it, go ahead and find 12% over 100 and times it by 12,786. $12 divided by 100 multiplied by 12,786. We get 1,534.32. 1,534.32. So that's equal to 1,534.32. Now, if you add back this to this, I bet you that you're going to get a value very close to 14,320. So 12,000. So 12,000. Whoops. Are these persons in the waiting room? So plus 12,786. So the answer close. We actually go over by 32 cents. 14,320.32. So we get an answer that rolls over by a couple cents. But we are okay with a couple cents as long as it doesn't go over by $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 or $5. So a couple cents will work with. All right. So it's important to understand the question because the questions look so simple and it has an obvious route for you to take. And if you do that, then you will find that you will get your answer incorrect. All right. So please be very mindful when you get a chance to see these questions. But we're going to see a lot of these, right? All right. And that is it. All right. So it's a tricky little one, right? You're going to meet up on a lot of these. So just brace yourself. You're going to meet up on a lot of these types of questions. So just brace.
One
Yes, go
second,
ahead.
let me write it off. Please don't rub it off as it.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
when we go onto the recording on YouTube, we'll see it before you rub it off, right? We can pause it and think.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
May I proceed?
Yes, you can. Thank you.
Sir.
All right. Somebody can volunteer to read number 4. Anyone can go ahead. Number 4.
A computer can be bought on hire purchase at a cost of $3,975 by making a deposit of $596.25. Interest of 12% was charged on the outstanding balance and repaid in 12 equal monthly installments. Calculate 1. The deposit as a percentage, and 2, each installment. 3, higher purchase price, and 4, interest charged as a percentage.
Thank you so very much. Now, we are leaning into a topic that many students, I'm not going to say for some reason, don't understand why they don't understand because math hard for everybody. So I'm going to say, we're leaning into a topic that I've heard over the years that students find a bit challenging. All right. I'm going to try my very best to give you as much clarity as possible. Okay. So this topic is known as hire purchase. The adults that are in the class will be familiar with what I'm referring to as hire purchase. And then let's grab our notepad here. All right, so dropping in these things as we go along. So what is hire purchase? Notice the word hire is spelled differently. So what is hire purchase? Now, Hire purchase, ladies and gentlemen, is basically an agreement between a customer and a company where a customer can acquire a particular good or maybe a service, but it's mostly goods. You can acquire a particular good by paying down a certain amount of money on the item that you would like, and then you can walk out with the item knowing that the item is yours, but whatever amount that is owing on the item, you can pay the balance in increments, small monthly increments that we call installments. Now, we're not looking into the idea, for example, we know companies like Courts and Singer and Lucky Dollar, those furniture companies that are present in Mandeville or in Jamaica, right? But then you used to hear about Home Electrics and some other companies like that. When you take out items, they have what are called promotional deals, where them have like nothing down, because them really want you to get the item and them want to hook you as a customer. They'll give you deals like nothing down. So you can go in there and be like, oh, so I want this bedroom set. And they say, no, man, it's Christmas, so you're going to get nothing down. So you literally go there, sign up a bunch of papers to say that I want this item for 2 years. I'm going to be making a certain amount of money on the item per month. And after 2 years, I should be able to pay off the item. I'm sure most adults in here are familiar. For the younger persons in here who are not yet on their own, right? You may not be experienced. Well, you may not be in a position to have experienced this as yet, but some adults would have experienced it. Now, there is a big debate, and there has always been a big debate about whether hire purchase is a good thing or a bad thing. There are some Jamaican persons, there are some people, not to be Jamaican, there are some persons that believe that if an item costs $10, they're not supposed to pay more than 10. There's also big rumors going around that hire purchase is bad because after you don't pay for the item, you pay double. That's not necessarily true. There are many factors that will contribute to whether you pay double, triple, or even half the value of the item, more on the item. So you have to take into consideration, 1, the time that you take out the item for. 2, you have to look at the interest rate charged by the company. 3, you have to look at the value of the item. The higher the value of the item is the more valuable the item is, then is the more interest they may charge you on it. Remember, that's a company, it's a business. They are in the business of selling furniture, and at the end of a certain period of time, they want to make a profit from it. Because remember that they have to pay persons to build the furniture, and in turn, they have to sell it back to you so that they can get the money to pay who builds the furniture and make a profit for the company. So is hire purchase a bad thing? I'm going to say yes and no. It's yes, it's a good thing, because 1, I've learned that when you take things out on hire purchase, it builds what is called your credit history. So when you take out things on credit, then your name goes on the Jamaica Credit Bureau, Standard Credit Bureau, or Bureau of Credit Standards, something of that sort. And once you have a good credit history, you pay well, you have chances of getting loans in the future for like your house, or take out loans to go to school. So your name is going to pop up and they're going to see how well you are paid. So it's very important that if you're taking things out on credit, you want to ensure that you maintain a good credit history. Now, is it a bad thing? I'm going to also say yes, because depending on how bad you need the item, you may realize you have to accept that if the item costs 100 grand, then at the end of 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, you're naturally going to have to pay more than the 100 grand, right? Because you're entangled with the company in terms of a legal binding document to say that you're going to pay an interest rate on the item, all right? So we're not going to debate whether or not hire purchase is a good thing or a bad thing. We're just going to look at what exactly is it, all right? So hire purchase is a means of acquiring a particular good, a particular asset. I'm going to say a particular asset and paying for it over a specific period of time. So basically, you're paying for the item while the item is being used. All right? Now, we're looking at the traditional way. We're not looking at promotions or anything like that. We're looking at the standard way of getting out an item on hire purchase. For you to get out an item, I'm going to pull up another notepad here. For you to get out an item on hire purchase, there are a few things that you must consider as a customer. Or there's a few things that the clerk or the agent or the sales representative will be explaining to you. The sales representative is going to explain to you what is called a deposit. Now, what exactly is a deposit? Most of you guys can common sense it out. Why am I spelling the word wrong? Okay. So what exactly is a deposit? Well, basically, this is a percentage value of the item. This is a percent. This is I'm getting someone typing error. This is a percentage value of the item that must be paid down. So the company will decide what the deposit is. They'll either tell you that you're going to pay 10% down, 15% down, 25% down, or they just make it easy for you and say, you need to pay $20,000 to get the item out. So let's say the item costs $200,000, right? They're going to say to you then, all right, since you don't have the $200,000 to purchase it cash, let us go into an agreement, put $20,000 down on the item, and then the other $180,000 that is owing, you're going to pay that over a set period. They'll determine, you can tell them what you want, because they'll ask you, do you want to take this item down for 9 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years? Bear in mind that the longer you have this item in your possession, is the more the cumulative value is going to be. The shorter you take it out, you're still going to pay interest on it, However, the interest won't be that high because you paid for it quite quickly. Now, the shorter you take out the item, right? And remember that this topic is not about just working the questions. It's about giving you an understanding of consumerism. So I don't just teach maths for you to just go work out questions. I teach you maths that you can use it to apply in a real life. So take this into consideration. Whenever it is that you take out an item for a short period of time, the installment per month is going to be higher. If you take out the item for a longer period of time, the installment per month is going to be lower. So the longer you have the item, they will reduce the installment per month. The shorter you pay for it is the more they're going to increase the installment per month. So all of those factors you have to bear in mind. All right. So this is a percentage value of the item that must be paid down to acquire. To acquire. Acquire the item. Now, there are other things that must be that you have to bear in consideration. There's something known as outstanding balance. And I'm teaching this topic to one group of my day school students. And as self-explanatory as it is supposed to be, many persons don't really understand the term outstanding balance, right? They know what it is, but when they use certain words, it may kind of fly over their heads. So outstanding balance. This is the amount that is left to be repaid after the deposit has been made. So we can come up with a little formula for this then. We can say it is the cash price minus the deposit. If you want to know what is outstanding balance, it is the cash price minus the deposit. Now, please note well, that once you have an outstanding balance, there's a high probability that they're going to charge you interest on it. Because the interest is what the company gets for giving you the item for that period. So there's a probability that they're going to charge you interest. So interest, depending on the deal that you strike with them, interest may be added to the outstanding balance. So you have to bear that in mind, that sometimes the outstanding balance is just the deposit minus the cash price. And sometimes after you subtract the deposit from the cash price, then you're going to add interest to it to give you the final outstanding balance. All of this calculation is done. So for those who have things, for those of you who have items in your house, furnitures in your house that you're under a hire purchase agreement, right? Please note that all this calculation that I'm about to show you was done when you signed that document. The computer did it for you. So they just tell you what you're going to do. And over time. And remember that if you're late on your payments and those little stuff, they're going to add interest again. So all those things will affect the overall cumulative value. All right? So pretty much that's it. Let's take a look at the question then. All of those things was necessary for me to explain, because you're going to see a wide variety of questions that will pop up. All right, so let's look at the question then. So let's identify some stuff that were mentioned here. Oh, I didn't give you the formula. Let me just give you the formula quickly. So the formula for hire purchase, let's just write it down here, ladies and gentlemen. So hire purchase, I'm going to shorten it HP, is equal to deposit. So I'm going to shorten that DP. I'm going to write out the word there, man. So hire purchase is equal to deposit. So I'm going to write DP plus the installment, INST, times the time. So I'm going to put a little bracket here because the time must be in months, because you make your payments monthly, not yearly. So when you see time, don't assume that it's per year. It's per month. So whenever the calculation is being done, please note that the time must be in months. So if I say something like take it out for 2 years, convert that 2 years to months, which is 24 months. All right. So this is your, if you want to call it a standard formula. Hire purchase is deposit plus installment times time. Let's go to the question then. So the question says that a computer was bought on hire purchase and the cost of it was $3,975. That's the cash price. Now, the customer acquired this item by making a deposit of $596.25. So in this case, you're told exactly what the deposit is. There are going to be questions where you have to be the one to calculate the deposit. So in this case, you're told what the deposit is. And you're also told that 12% interest will be charged on the outstanding balance. And whatever that outstanding balance is, you need to repay it in 12 equal monthly installments. Let's attack the question one by one. The first thing that they ask us for is to calculate the deposit as a percentage. So we know right away that the deposit, by reading the question, we were told that the deposit is equal to 596.25. They want us to turn that into a percentage. So we were told that the deposit is equal to 596.25. They want us to convert this to a percentage. Now, bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that the deposit is a fraction of what it originally costs. So to do this, we're going to say 596.25 divided by the original cost, which is 3,975. And we want to turn it into a percentage, so we're going to times it by 100%. So 596.25 divided by 39, don't remember what the value was, 3975. So 3975. So I've divided the deposit that them tell me to pay by the original value of the item. I'm going to times that by 100%. You can see that the answer is 15. So in other words then, this deal was that the customer was required to make a 15% deposit on the item. So that $596.25 is 15% of the original value. So that answers question number 1. For question number 2, they say that they want us to calculate each installment. What is the value of each installment? Now, you have to be very careful here because there's a lot of things that needs to be done for you to get the installment. Please bear in mind that after the customer made a deposit, the customer would have had an outstanding balance. So we're going to call this the pre-outstanding balance. We're going to call it the pre-outstanding. I'm going to explain to you why I call it the pre-outstanding. So the pre-outstanding balance is going to be the cash price. I'm going to call it CP, cash price, minus the deposit, DP. The cash price was $3,975. And the deposit made was 596.25. So 3,975 minus 596.25, that gives me a balance, a pre-outstanding balance of 3378.75. 3378.75. 3378.75. Now, why did Mr. Peart call this the pre-outstanding? I call it the pre-outstanding because of this very reason. It says that interest of 12% is going to be charged on the outstanding balance. So because I haven't added the interest to it as yet, this is called my pre-outstanding. So now I need to go ahead now and add the interest to this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find 12%. Let me just put this in a different color ink. I'm going to go ahead then and do a little calculation to the side here. 12% over 100. And I'm going to do 12% over 100 of the item, of the amount that is owed currently. 3378.75. Now, when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to times this by 12 divided by 100. $405.45. So that means then that the interest charge was $405.75. Let's confirm if that is right. $405.45. 405.45. For 405.45. So this now is the interest that was gained on the dining room table. So that is the interest. Now, watch this now, you know. Remember that this is the pre-outstanding balance, you know. And this is the interest that the company charged. So to get the final the final outstanding balance, we're going to go ahead and add these two together. So that's going to be 3378.75 plus 405.45. 3378.75. 3378.75. So the final outstanding balance that is still owing, and this money that you're looking at on screen here, is the amount owing after the interest has been added. So the final outstanding balance is 3784.20. So that's going to be a sec to restart.
It's 842.
All right, so we're going to get how much again now?
784.20.
784.20. 3784. .20. So this now is going to be the balance that is currently owing. All right. So all of this calculation was necessary. All of this calculation was necessary in order for you to go ahead and find.
Excuse me, sir. Can you go up a bit more on the board so I can see? Thank you.
So this is the amount that is still owing to be paid on the item. Hope everybody's following me. All right. Now we can finally calculate the each installment, because we were told in the question here that the outstanding balance must be repaid in 12 equal monthly installments, 12 equal. So then to finish this question, then I'm going to divide this by 12. So the amount that needs to be paid per month is $315.35. So the installment is $315.35 monthly. That is how you calculate it. Okay? So there's a lot of thought that has to go into this type of question, right? A lot of thought has to go into them. So I've been telling all my students, physical, face-to-face students, that sometimes you'll see me work with a question in class or on the board, and you say to yourself, it's challenging, but you have to brace yourself, because essentially this is what's going to come on the exam. So mentally you have to brace yourself. You can't be like, why them can't send questions that are easier? You're not at that level. You're at a higher level. So you have to expect more challenging, critical thinking questions. So you have to brace yourself that this is what's going to hit you on the exam. Maybe something less complicated, but it's essentially going to, have this kind of requirement. All right. Now we can move on to the next part of the question then, that says the higher purchase price. So if we go back to our formula here that we had written earlier over here, here it is up here, higher purchase price, we can drop in some numbers. So we know that the deposit was what? 596.25. And we just learned that the installment is what? 315.35. And we know that it must be paid for 12 months each. So we threw that into our formula. And we're going to learn that this is 596.25 plus, when you multiply 315.35 times 12, I believe we should get back this value down here. We should get back this value down here.
Correct, sir. 3784.20.
0.20.
Yes.
3784.20. And then when we add those together now, we will see the overall higher purchase price. So the value of the dining room table is now 4,000 after 12 months of paying for the item. The customer would have ended up paying $4,380.45. So 4,380.45. 4,380.45. So sorry, let me just refresh the page. The 4,380.45. And that's the value of the item. All right. So just by this very small calculation, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear some person talking, I'm not going to say it's rubbish because there's truth to it, but you're seeing here from a mathematical point of view that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're paying double. Because here the item costs what? 3,975, and at the end of 1 year, the customer only paid 4,380. And that is as a result of the fact that the customer only took it out for 1 year and the interest rate was 12%. So you can see it's not a lot. So it really depends. It depends on the value of the item. It depends on how long you take out the item for. And it also depends on the interest rate.
And not just that, sir, but the commitment. Because the moment you miss a payment, they're going to add bailiff fee to all of that too. So that's why some person said that it doesn't make no sense you take out anything on hire purchase. They're going to pay like double or triple time the money. Because
and that is just an ignorant statement, right? It's just an ignorant statement, mean that the person's lack of knowledge of what really goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
That business people them are running now. You can't expect them to have an item for a cash price of 100. You don't have the 100, so them entertain you. Them say, all right, here you don't have 100, give me 20, and then over the period of 2 years, take time and pay for the 80.
Yeah, and go and use the item. And go and use the item until. Yeah.
And they're waiting on you. What if cockroach bite it up? Or what if something damage it? What if you throw water upon it? You're not going to want it again and then you're going to give it back to them. Not true. So,
no.
We are a business, but customers don't understand business. So them just decide if 100K for it, 100K we must pay and no more. And it can't work like that.
Right? Yeah, so true. Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, buddy. Everybody Gucci? So the question take this long to be explained because remember that essentially this is supposed to be a class. So sometimes some questions I could easily just run through this quick and fast and give you the answer. But then would you have understood what to do when you get a subsequent question? Maybe not. So technically I had to use the time and use the question to make a lesson out of it. All right, everybody Gucci?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you'll have a better chance later on to attack questions like these. All right? Good. Lovely. All right. If you're asking questions in the group, or in the chat, I can't see it. But it's good that if you guys are working stuff out and you're communicating in the chat, that's really good. All right, boom. Now we're fast approaching the end of our session, but remember that our agreement was that we're gonna do half an hour over to take back some stuff that Melissa took from us. So remember that we're ending at 9, okay? Let's continue. Number 5. Somebody else can volunteer to read number 5? Or the same person, it doesn't matter. Go ahead, guys. Number 5.
Sir, before you go to that, you did the part that says the interest charge as a percentage?
Oh, I didn't do that part? Oh, thank you. So the interest charge as a percentage? Oh, thank you so much. So the interest we had calculated earlier to be 405, right down here. Not true? That was the interest, right? So the interest was 405.45. And we're going to calculate the interest as a percentage of the cash price, 3975, and times it by 100. So this is the interest. This is the cash price. So we're comparing the interest to the cash price and timesing it by 100. How much we got? Oh, nobody's doing the calculation. Okay, no, waiting for me.
10.2.
Right. Oh, 10.2. So that's approximately 10%. We just roll it off and just say 10%. 10.2, if you write 10.2%, cool. Just don't write 11% though. So if it's 10.5, you can write 11. 10.6, you can write 11. 10 point, anything under 10.5, roll it off to 10%. So approximately 10% interest was gained by the company. All right, that takes care of that. All right, somebody else now, you can go ahead and read number 5.
Zoom it up, sir. All right. Jack is a college student. He can invest 50,000 for 4 years at 6%, at 6% per annum, or 2 years at 8% per annum. Justify which option is better. If option 2's rate double, would there be a difference, and which would be better?
Okay, this is a very, very, very logical reasoning question, right? So I'm gonna use the chat. I want to hear what your opinion is going to be before we do any calculation. Before we get into the chat, this word justify, you cannot justify and say this is the best option because me feel like. No, you can't say that. Justify meaning that you need mathematical calculations to prove why this is the best option. So I'm using the chat now, guys. I want to see what the chat is like. Let me know in the chat. Would you invest, do you think that if you invest 50 grand for 4 years at 6%, or if you invest it for 2 years at 8%, which do you think would garner more interest? Without calculating, tell me what you think. What would you? I present it on the table to you. I have 2 banks, and I say to you, Stacia, you have a choice. I know you're a college student and you want to make your money grow for you, work for you. So I'm giving you 2 options. Put this money in this bank for 4 years. And after 4 years, I'm going to give you 6% interest. Or, here, wait, since you don't want to invest it so long, I'm going to have you put it into this bank over here for 2 years, but I'm going to give you 8% per annum. Right off the bat, what decision would you make without thinking about it? Let me see the chat.
All right.
Option 1 or option 2? Let's see the chat.
Option 1 for me. Me believe in a long-term investment.
Right.
I go with option 1.
So I'm seeing Mr. Hanson saying 4 years that she's agreeing with Miss Stacy. And I'm seeing who is unlicensed. I don't know who is that. Unlicensed room. I don't know who is that. But that person is saying 2 years. Let me see the chat now. What's going on? What would you guys do? You're presented with those 2 options, right? And you have to make a decision on spot. Miss Stacia says she believes in long-term investment. And I agree with her. But that doesn't mean that that's the correct answer. Shanika said 4 years. Where's everybody? I have 32 persons in here. What would be a decision without thinking? Where are my students?
Sir, can I repeat, please?
The question was on the screen. Would you invest $50,000 for 4 years at 6%? Or would you invest the $50,000 for 2 years at 8%? The question was on the screen. I just showed you, no? There it is. So Jack is a college student, and he has the option to invest 50,000 for 4 years at 6%, or invest it for 2 years at 8%. Which option you think is better without calculating anything? What's the chat saying? All right, Simonia said 4. Miss Garden look like she love collect fear money fast. No want it wait too long. 2 years. Miss Gentles love fear money quick. 2 years. Samsung said 2 years. Oriana said 4 years. All right, so we're getting mixed reactions. We're not getting everybody to participate, but that's okay. Some persons are a little bit more reserved. Latisha is saying 2 years. All right. So regardless of what our opinion may be, our opinion will be deciphered by mathematical calculation. Right? So hold on to your answer with faith. Let's see what the math says. All right, so when you go to the bank, ladies and gentlemen, and I know that quite a few of you, maybe all of you, didn't know this, or some of you do know it, that when the bank is giving you interest, the bank gives you interest on something known as simple interest. And the interest is given to you annually, right? Now, you're going to learn later on about something called compound interest, which the bank doesn't give compound interest. That's done on investment. That's where your money exponentially grows. It grows rapidly. Simple interest, your interest grows linearly. All right? When you go into college, you start to do like business courses and you want to do like business management and all that extra stuff. You're going to learn about linear growth and exponential growth. All right? So here we go. Let's look at this. So my name is Jack. Jack is the one teaching you now, right? So I'm going to check. I don't want to make a decision. I'm going to tell the person that, you know what, hold on. Give me an hour. Give me half an hour. Let me do some checks. You don't make a decision on spot. That's what I expected you guys to say. I see everybody choosing 4 years and 2 years just off a feeling. And that is how a lot of persons make bad investment. So let's check it. We know they didn't specify which interest it is, so we have to assume that it's simple. So let's check this out. I'm going to check the first investment. So option 1. Option 1, I want to know what the interest is going to be. So the simple interest is going to be the principal times the time times the rate divided by 100. And for option 2, it's also going to be simple interest is equal to principal times time times rate. So what does this mean then? This means that for option 1, the principal is going to be the 50,000. Because the principal is the money that you're investing. T stands for the time. We know that option 1 was 4 years. And the rate for option 1 was 6%. So we're going to divide this by 100. We can use shorthand and we can cancel these 2 zeros right here. And say 500 times 4 times 6. My calculation in my head is telling me that this is 12,000. Can somebody confirm it, please?
Yes, sir. Correct.
So at the end of 4 years, I'm going to make an interest. I'm going to garner interest of 12,000. Now, option 2 is for the persons, them afraid for investment. Them are call like Miss McClarty. Love for your money fast. As you put it in, she won't get it back out. Let us find out, Miss McClarty, what's going on with you. So Miss McClarty says, all right, I'm going to put $50,000 in this bank. And this time, I give them for 2 years, yeah, man. Maybe take the little bit higher interest rate, which is going to be 8% over 100. Cancel, cancel. 500 times 2 is 1,000. 1,000 times 8 is 8,000. So Miss McClarty, you just sell out yourself cheap. You could have waited 2 more years and get 4,000 more. But instead, you what? take it fast and only take 8,000. Along with the other person with more clarity that says 2,000. Don't want to see me a pick on orange. So $8,000. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, what is the better option? Option 1, based on interest. If you're looking at it from an interest point of view, then option 1 would be better. Now, some person will be like smart and be like, oh, come on, you know, Jamaican people then love money. They'll be like, all right, so you know what I do? I would invest it for 2 years and then invest it again for 2 more years and get 16,000. No. Believe me, I know say that's not think about. If you're not thinking about it, that's exactly what you're doing. But guess what happened now? Guess what would have been the problem? You wouldn't have known to do that because you would have just made your justification based off a feeling. So you wouldn't have realized that, oh, you know, say if me invest it for 2 years and then invest it again for 2 years, maybe we get 16 instead of 12. No, you're not looking at it from that point of view. So ladies and gentlemen, in the future, you're learning here that when you're going to make financial decisions, it's good that you can do your own little mathematics in your head, right? Don't just make an investment based on how you feel or just from the outskirt what looks good. Because a lot of persons made their decision based on this. The fact that them see the 8% here, so they must say, oh, the interest rate is higher. So you know what? Me, I'll go for that one day. And worse likely, them will get back the money faster. That's how people get caught. That's what the bank puts in place to gain interest for you guys. So it's very important. Persons often say, oh, math is not important. We're not going to do these math in real life. I lie you, I tell man. That's what they're doing to us, mere mortals. So because them know so we don't know if we do the calculation, they do it for us and then gain a bag of money off of us. So you see, anyhow you can make these financial decisions by doing your own little mathematics, you'll find that you're going to gain more interest than what you would have initially thought. Okay, so hope you learn something from that. So yes, it says justify. What you see on screen here is your justification. So you're gonna draw a conclusion. You're gonna say therefore, option 1 is a better option, and give a reason. Because the interest gained is $4,000 higher. It's a better option since the interest gain is $4,000 more. You can write another way. You can say because I gained a higher interest, or because my interest from option 1 was 12,000 and the interest from option 2 was 8. So you don't have to write it like me. You can just write it, you know, in your own language. All right. Everybody Gucci? Everybody Gucci?
Yes, sir.
Or maybe them in the chat talk. Everybody
Right.
Gucci.
Sir,
Yes, Miss Stacy.
please excuse my presence. I have to pick up my husband now, so I'm going to log out. You hear?
All right, take good care.
Okay, sir.
All right, now it says that if option 2's rate was doubled. Okay, let's look at this. So this is a critical thinking. And I want to hear the response in the chat. If option 2, look at it now, it says, you're saying that if option 2's rate was doubled, that means they must say if you double the interest on this, would there be any difference? What do you think, guys? Without thinking, what if I had offered you 16% interest rate as opposed to 8? Would there be a difference? Let's see the chat. You think there would be a difference? Do you then think you'll gain a higher interest rate? Let's see the chat. So Hansen is saying yes. All right. So on Life's room, she look covered now, you know, she not sure for answer, so she has a maybe. Miss Gentles is saying yes. Alicia is saying yes. So you're saying then that if I increased the 8% to 16, you're saying that there would be a difference. Are you then, Miss Gentles, are you saying that you're going to gain more interest? Is that what you're saying? Latisha is saying yes. Miss Jenkins is saying gain more. All right, let us find out then. Let us find out then. Because again, remember, decisions are not supposed to be made based off feeling. It is mathematics that will make the difference. So let us see. So if I doubled it then, I'm going to keep the time the same. I'm going to keep the investment the same, but I'm going to increase the interest rate. Let's have a look. And then hear anybody say no, you know. But just hear everybody say yes. So to get trick easy. Let us see now. All right, so come again now. We're going to justify that reason. Would there be a difference? Oh, and what else did it say? It says if yes. It says something about if yes. And it says, would there be a difference and which would be the better option? All right, so we're going to determine. Would there be a difference? Let us find out. Simple interest is equal to principal times time times rate over 100. Now, I'm going to keep the 50,000. I'm going to keep the time the same, but now the rate has been doubled to 16% over 100. Let's find out. 0 cancel 0, 0 cancel 0. 500 times 2 is what? 1,000. And 1,000 times 16 is 16,000. So Miss Gentles, Miss McClarty, Mr. Hanson, you are correct. If the interest rate was doubled, now option 2 would be a better option. But me feel like I guess and I guess. I guess and I guess. Option 2 would be better. Remember, when CSEC asks you to justify something, you can't just say, oh, you calculated it?
Yes, sir.
That's good. So option 2 is a better option. And remember that once you're going to justify, you have to show proof. You can't just say it's a better option because the interest rate was doubled. That doesn't answer the question. Your mathematics will prove that. So yes, you are correct, ladies and gentlemen. All right, lovely. We only have 90 minutes left, so I think that is enough to work out one more question. All right, everybody Gucci? Everybody Gucci?
Yes, sir.
Gabon, yeah, go on here, sir.
Miss Gardner is saying yes. Somebody's mic is unmuted. I love how my students and not talk to me. I'm not would I use Antonella, Daria. I can't speak on the microphone. Farah, Grayson, Jodian, Joshua. I'm only seeing the set. Romari, Renardo. No, talk. I want to have bright people sit down in the back of the class and not talk to the teacher and get me grade 1s and grade 2s. Okay, all right. I'm not interfere with them. It's okay. Not if you want to text, they wouldn't text in chat. All right, I'm not good still. If you guys had a question, I think you guys would ask me. All right, so let's work number 6 and get out of here. It's been a long night. So let's see. All right, somebody else can volunteer to read number 6. I'm going to one vice for night. Come in.
A
One
customer
gentleman,
had
step up to the plate. Okay, go ahead.
A customer had an ice cream manufacturing machine bought for $25,000 and sold for $18,000 due to 3% depreciation. How long did the customer have the machine?
All right, so we're not going to do that 1 year. That 1 years are very difficult. Well, it's not difficult. It entails something that is not taught at the CSEC level. All right, it involves some stuff. It involves a component that is not taught at the CSEC level. So I'll probably do it another time, but not tonight. I want to end the class on something different. And we already did a depreciation question, so I don't want to dive into that. So we're going to go ahead and search for something else. We're going to look at question number. Let's see. Let me see which one. Let's look at number 15. Number 15. All right, go ahead, love. Read.
An insurance broker earns $10,450 plus 6% commission if he made sales of $58,400. Calculate his gross income for the month.
All right, so looking at a topic known as commission. All right, looking at a topic known as commission. We have 60 minutes, so we can perhaps explain what commission is. So grab a little notepad here. So I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with the concept of commission, but commission is an additional income earned. Is an additional income earned.
For the Christmas holiday.
Somebody's mic is unmuted. The person who just spoke about Christmas holiday. The mic is unmuted. Commission is an additional income earned when sales are made. When sales are made. From a company. For a company. All right, so let me just quickly run through this then. So the company pays a percentage of what you sold. Now, you might have experienced this at some point, maybe in a different sense, maybe not from a mathematical point of view, but you might have experienced this at some point. Now, let's say that I have some stuff that I want to sell, and I have a company that sells these nice products. I buy them online, and I'm selling them at a price. And I say to you, if you make $10,000 for me, I'll give you 3,000 out of it. So I'll take 7 and I'll pay you 3. Remember, I know you're a company, I know you're a business, you're working for them. So you can't go half and half. The company has the right to say, you know what, I'm only going to give you 10%. And then if you like the deal, then you can join the company. But if you don't like the deal, then you stay away from it. All right? So I'm not sure if you know of anybody who works on commission. A perfect example of persons who work on commission would be somebody who sells insurance, somebody who sells life insurance, health, you know, them insurance people, they will go around and tell us you must pay a premium per month. Or somebody who works at a car mart. When a person works at a car mart as a sales representative, depending on how much car they sell for the month, the company pays them a percentage of the value of the car. So the company will pay you a percentage from the sales that you make. So how to do this question then is commission is equal to X% over 100 multiplied by total sales. Let's write it pretty for you. So commission is equal to X% over 100 multiplied by total sales. Now we're going to use this formula. Remember that one of the objectives, let me just zoom back to the objectives. When we mentioned earlier, when the student in the beginning read the objectives, one of the objectives was that you're going to learn how to manipulate formulas to find different variables. So here's a question that requires you to manipulate the formula. Now, when we go back and we read the question, let us look at some stuff that was given to us that we had to identify. From question number 15 here, it says an insurance broker earns $10,000, $10,450. So we need to determine what does this $10,450 represent. This $10,450 represents what is called his basic wage or his basic pay. That represents his basic pay. So we know for certain that whether him selling the insurance or not, we know at the end of the month or the end of the week he's going home with $10,450. That's what we know for sure. Now it says you're plus 6% commission. So we know that the rate at which he's getting any form of additional payment is going to be 6%. Now what we're looking for here is that if he made sales of 58,000, so we are being told that he made total sales of 58,400. So this 58,000 is going to represent the total sales, the TS, because that's what they said. They made sales of 58,000. So that's going to represent your total sales, or TS. We're looking for the gross income. We're looking for the amount of money that he took home for that week or for that month. Let's plug some numbers in. So we know that the percent at which he's getting interest is 6%. That's going to be over 100. And we know that he made total sales of 58,400. Oh, I thought it was a reverse question. You know, it's not. It's actually a straightforward question. So the commission is going to be equal to 6% over 100 times 58,000. 6% over 100 multiplied by 58,400. From the 58,400 that was made for the company decides to pay him $3,504 for that particular week or month. So this works out to be $3,504. So this works out to be $3,504 flat. And you might be like, then sir, this is a cruelty. How can I make 50,000 for the company and the boss only decides to give me $3,504? Remember that your regular pay is $10,450. So if you don't make any sales, you get $10,450. The boss have to find that money, give you, because that's your pay. But if you make any sales, he's going to give you a little extra. So as much as it looks small, after making so much money, it is just extra. Remember that him could have tell us, say, okay, I'm just going to pay you $10,450, whether you make sales or not. So the mere fact that he's giving you a portion out of it, you should be grateful, in my opinion. So therefore, his gross income, and for those who don't know what gross income is what we refer to as your basic pay plus any allowances, any extra you get. Anything extra that you get is called your gross income. So your gross income could be your basic pay plus overtime. Your basic pay could be your gross income could be basic pay plus overtime, or your gross income could be basic pay plus commission. So in this case, in your gross income works out to be $10,450 plus $3,504. So that's going to be $13,954. And that's the gross income for that particular month or week. I'm going to say month. All right? Everybody Gucci? Everybody Gucci?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
As you can see,
Yes,
there's
sir.
a bunch of questions there. They run all the way down to 30 odd. I will upload this to your Google Classroom so you can go and shoot your shot at a couple of them. So next week, Wednesday, we will attack another 6 or 8 more questions. And we're going to try to make sure that we touch base on all the topics under consumer arithmetic so that whatever remaining questions is left, you guys may be able to touch base on it. And then pretty much that's it. Right, we're not going to spend a long time on the topic because we want to make sure so we touch at least a little algebra before the year ends. All right? Lovely. All right, so if there's no questions, guys.
Sir, can you bring up back the commission notepad, please?
Okay. So if there are no questions, I will see you guys on Sunday again, where we're going to be. Sunday, we're going to be doing algebra. Yes, we're going to be doing algebra on Sunday. So Sundays, we do algebra. Wednesdays, we do consumer arithmetic. And on Mondays, we do coordinate geometry. All right. So I think by the end of this semester, you should be up and running with everybody else. All right. You'll be up and running with everybody else. All right, guys. So that is it. All right. The recording.
Sir, I don't see this. I'm not seeing this the notepad.
Oh. All right. So if there's no more questions, ladies and gentlemen, that will be the end of tonight's session. Have yourselves a peaceful, prosperous, and productive rest of the evening. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Stay safe. Until next time.
Sir,
yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say,
I'm sorry, I don't know who's talking to me.
Well, I was asking you what time your class starts on Sunday.
Oh, we all had agreed that it was 2 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, we all agreed. Weren't you here on Sunday last?
No, dear.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is your first class?
It's going to be. No, my first class was on Monday.
So you weren't a part
I
of
didn't have any lights.
Oh, okay. Well, we have made a discussion that an agreement that we're going to be making up for some sessions lost, about 15 hours. We're going to be making it up on Sundays.
And it's 2 till?
4. It's mandatory that you attend. It's a part of the class.
Okay.
All right. Our next person had a question?
yes, sir, for number 6, sir. I typed the answer.